Hey guys and gals, Mike McFarland here, the Lake Fork Guide. Long time no talk. Um, hey, as we've done in the past, November, December, January, they're kind of slow months around here in Northeast Texas. There's still some bass fishing that goes on, but it's about 1/3 the amount of the rest of the year. So I don't do near as many reports. I apologize for that. But listen, I'm going to give you one right now. I'm going to catch you up on some of the lake conditions. I'm going to catch you up on the rumor. The SRA is lowering the lake. It's not rumor. We'll talk about that in just a minute. I'm going to give you a few fishing tips for the next week or so and just catch you guys up, okay? So good to have you here. Lake conditions. Man, it is probably the mildest winter that we've ever had, at least in a long time since I've been here. 56 to 58, man, that's the water temperatures. Last couple of nights have been really right at the freezing mark, but just for a short term. So normally by now we're definitely below 55 degrees, 54 degrees, and we can get all the way down to 48 or lower. We reach 43, 44 degrees. 39 degrees is about as low as we've ever really seen it. That was the Snowmageddon, Ice-Mageddon last year. But basically right now water temps holding in a really good parameter. If we don't get some winter soon, and we will, but if we don't, there's going to be a very early spawn. There's going to be a round of fish that comes really early. And really what this happens with is the solstice. The winter solstice is coming. December 19th is the shortest day of the year, winter solstice. From there, the days start growing each day a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And that is a cue to Mother Nature, both plants and animals, that in essence, spring's coming. It's not spring, and yeah, we got 2 months of cold coming, but the days are growing longer. Those are the things that really kick these, certainly in fishing, off. And a lot of these really big fish in Lake Fork, huge fish, man, they spawn to the calendar date. They sometimes don't even care about the water temperature. Literally, I promise. It's not a lot of them, but it's the biggest ones. Water clarity, very good. 1 to 3 foot visibility. Depends on where you are. If you're driving over a bridge, you can look down and see. It may look gunmetal blue. It may look Lake Fork green. It just depends on what part of your lake. But it's all healthy, good clarity. Lake level. As of today, it's at 400 elevation. That is 3 feet below full pool. They absolutely are lowering the lake to 397. Okay. They made a press release. This is fact, not rumor. SRA, Sabine River Authority, will be lowering the lake as of today, very rapidly too, 3 more feet. This puts the lake at 6 feet low. The first thing I'm going to tell you is you really need to take a whole lot more caution. Absolutely no cutting corners on buoys. Watch it in the guide lanes. If you have the chip that gives you the buoy lanes and guide lanes. Guide lanes are the non-buoyed running lanes. Those guide lanes, a lot of them can now be extremely dangerous with the water being 6 feet low. Some of those guide lanes are guaranteed to get you in a wrap, in trouble. So watch the guide lanes now. Stick to the buoy lanes. Get tight in the buoy lanes now. Don't drift on them buoy lanes. With 6 feet low, there are stumps a lot closer in those buoy lanes than you think. They're going to be exposed. If we don't get water right away, the water could continue to go down a little lower. The reason I'm sharing this is in 2015, it got down to 8.7 feet low. And there were stumps in the buoy lanes. Okay? So the danger level can be extreme at that point. Don't want anybody wrecking their boats, getting hurt, specifically losing their life. Okay? So that being said, SRA is going to lower the lake by the end of this week. I bet it's down. I bet it don't take too long. Remember, dropping water pulls fish out. So anything that was up on the banks, anything that was up, it's going to pull out. That's going to pull them into the creeks. I really like winter. I like the lake to be low in the winter. And the reason is it exposes those stumps. Okay? With side scan abilities and live scope abilities, we can certainly see those stumps, but I like to stay away from them. Stealth is better. You catch those bigger fish by staying farther away. But a lot of times if you're blind casting to them, you're not sure that you hit them. And so when the lake is 3-4 feet low in the winter, it tends to fish a lot easier. because you can see the stumps, the specific stumps to cast to, and sometimes recasting to. Okay, I promise you this is a true story, but I caught a fish off of a tree stump on the 57th cast. 56 casts to that stump, pitches, no bite, 57th 5-pounder. So a lot of times you got to know the fish are there, and remember, in these creek swings, you're going to have one side that's a washout, okay, like a wall, and it may have roots exposed. On the other side of those creek swings, you have the underwater point, okay? So that creek, when it swung, it washed out one side, but left the other like an underwater point. So when it's real cold conditions, cold fronts, early in the morning, you're going to fish in those roots, on that deeper side of that channel swing, okay? And then maybe it's a real sunny day or a warm trend. Those fish may leave and go to the closest flats nearby that warm trend, and or they'll pull up on that point on the other side of the creek swing, if that makes any sense, okay? So right now, the next 6 weeks, the best fishing you can do are going to be suspending fish in creek channels, in deep creek channels in the treetops, which are really difficult. Jerk baits, glide baits, weedless Alabama rigs thrown in the right areas can really catch some of those suspending fish in the trees. You really need the live scope to do it super efficiently. The better bite is the one that I believe Mark Pack would be pursuing. I don't believe it. I know he would. And that's those creek swings, those tree stumps, those root systems in those swings. And basically, he's going to get us flipping jig. Okay, flipping stick, and we're going to be throwing jigs. So that's what I would do. That's what I'm prepared to be doing for the next 6 weeks. You want a heavy-duty rod. Okay, don't mess around. All right. Heavy line, fast gear ratio. I prefer the McFarland's Signatures real-time rods, MB 7'3", 1530. Okay, that's the power. 1530 is 15-pound line to 30-pound line. That's a 6-power equal rod. Okay, it's equal to 6 power. I run 20-pound fluorocarbon. I'm going to run an 8-to-1 Tatula, 8-to-1 high gear ratio, fast gear ratio, so that when I set the hook in these tree stumps or in these roots, I can get them up and out of there. I'm also tending to be in a really nasty area, so I want those fish up and out. High-speed gear ratio, super, super important. But here are a few of the baits that are really critical. With the jigs, this time of year I get away from the football jig because the football jig is going to hang up a lot more in those roots. It's going to hang up in the tree stumps and things like that. I'm going to go to the rattling jig. Santone's rattling jig. Sometimes I'll use it with no rattles. Sometimes I'll take them off. But generally in the winter, I want those rattles. It helps those fish locate it. I can leave it in place and shake and make more noise without movement. I've got movement without movement, giving them time to find it and or react. Okay, so I do want the rattles this time of year. But here's a tip. 2 types of trailers. These are really important. One's going to be your traditional paddle type trailers. Santone now makes those. Santone Lures makes a paddle type tail, and I love it. They make a chunk. A chunk in the wintertime is really, really good as well. But one of the really important keys is they're going to tell you on a daily basis, the fish will, how they are reacting. Are they aggressive? If they're aggressive, I want those paddle tails. Okay. If they're not being aggressive, if they're not feeding, you're finding it grind bite, it's cold and slow, then that's where I get into the do nothing more tails, like the beavers. There's a variety of different brands that you can use, but just remember with the jig in the winter, I think the 3 most critical things will be the rattling noise and the decision on whether to use an aggressive movement trailer or a non-aggressive, very docile or subtle type trailer. Okay. Colors. Man, black and blue is so hard to beat in the wintertime. Anywhere black and blue in the U.S. Green pumpkins are super hard to beat. But I love to stay with the JC Spicy Craw and a black and blue. Here on Fork in the wintertime, those 2 colors get it done. I'm going to run into some fish that are going to be willing to eat one of those 2 colors. JC Spicy Craw or black and blue. And a lot of times, also, on my trailer with the black and blue, I like to go with like a sapphire blue. Zoom used to make a really cool chunk. Here it is, in fact, sapphire blue. So something about cold water, black and blue, and sapphire blue, and especially now if the water gets dirty on us. So, they're knocking the lake down to fix and do some repairs on the dam. Once they do those repairs on the dam, the lake's going to hopefully come back up. But what's going to happen now too is that it's being low like that. If we get a big storm, she's going to fill up like a trash bowl, and she's going to be really dirty. When she's already full and that water hits, it slows it down, and the whole head part of it gets up in the north end, and that mud takes time. The dirt water doesn't always affect the whole lake. When the lake is 6 feet low, we're going to fill up with a lot of muddy water. Expect some dirty water this spring, and that's okay too. So the jigs are the deal. I'm going to guess that on really cold days, you're going to find those fish in 12 to 18 feet of water. Warm trending days, you're going to see them up in more of the 8 to 12 foot of water. And really warm trends, when we have 2 or 3 days of warm trending, you might see them all the way up in the backs of those creeks, on those creek swings, already in place for next year. And the reason of that is the solstice of the sun. In just a few more days, we are at the shortest day, not to be redundant, but the days begin to grow. And so that's what I love it. Look back in my archives of my videos, you see me talk about this a whole lot. This is where the big fish start to move, like deer in rut. The solstice is very important. It kicks things off. All right. So that's it. I talked about the rod. I want to give you a couple other tips. I know my buddy Mark Pack's up there saying, you know, there's a few other baits that you can tell him about. And what those really are is a Texas rig Cinco, Texas rig brush hog. In case of Cinco, I'm going to use the V&M chopstick, black and blue, black sapphire again, black blue sapphire. Santo now makes a brush hog, so common colors on the brush hog. Winter colors are again going to be your blacks and blues. Really hard if the sun's shining to beat the green, pumpkin red, or watermelon red. Really hard when the sun is shining to not have those colors, watermelon red, involved in your baits on fork. All right. And there'll be some other bites throughout the winter, some rattle trap bites and things. I don't expect too much of them with low lake conditions. There won't be any vegetation. There won't be shoreline cover. The docks are going to come out of water. And a lot of those fish have been using those docks with a lack of shoreline cover. They are now going to go to the creeks. Going to be a really cool creek bite for the next 4 to 6 weeks. All right. That's my rundown. I appreciate all your patience, guys. The electrician has come. They're waiting on me now to swing some drywall. We're going to have some really cool lighting in here in McFarland's Corner. We're going to kick off the first of the year, absolutely, with the private corners coming for you to subscribe to. Thanks for your patience. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all of you. And thanks so much for watching. I'm Mike McFarland, the Lake Fork Guide. Love you.